When the doors of independent record stores quietly opened on February 25, fans expected another routine vinyl drop. Instead, they walked into a surprise that felt almost cinematic. Bruno Mars had turned an ordinary winter afternoon into a nationwide celebration, stunning fans with secret early listening events for his upcoming fourth solo studio album, The Romantic. In a move few saw coming, Bruno Mars partnered with dozens of local record shops across America to host exclusive early album listening sessions, reframing what a modern album rollout can look like. The announcement spread rapidly online, but many fans discovered it the old-school way, through their neighborhood record store. The early celebration, billed as a limited one-day experience, allowed select audiences to hear The Romantic before its official release, sparking conversation across social media and reigniting excitement around physical music culture. For an artist whose career has been defined by precision, nostalgia, and showmanship, the strategy felt both intimate and disruptive. Bruno Mars did not rely solely on streaming platforms or a splashy arena reveal. Instead, he went back to the roots: vinyl, community, and word-of-mouth buzz. Born Peter Gene Hernandez in Honolulu, Hawaii, Bruno Mars has spent more than a decade shaping the sound of contemporary pop. He broke into the mainstream with 2010's Doo-Wops and Hooligans, powered by chart-topping hits like Just the Way You Are and Grenade. His follow-up, Unorthodox Jukebox, solidified his versatility, blending pop, reggae, and rock influences. By the time 24K Magic arrived in 2016, Bruno Mars was no longer simply a hitmaker. He was a cultural force. That album earned multiple Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, and produced era-defining singles such as That's What I Like and 24K Magic. His retro-infused aesthetic, channeling funk, R&B, and soul, reshaped mainstream pop at a time dominated by electronic minimalism. Industry observers often credit Bruno Mars with helping bring live instrumentation and classic showmanship back to the forefront of radio. Yet the years following 24K Magic were marked by selective appearances rather than a traditional solo cycle. He collaborated with Anderson .Paak as part of Silk Sonic, delivering Leave the Door Open, another Grammy-winning success that paid homage to 1970s soul. The project reaffirmed Bruno Mars' ability to bridge generations, blending contemporary polish with vintage sensibilities. Now with The Romantic, he appears poised to enter a new chapter. While official details about the album remain closely guarded, insiders describe it as deeply personal. The title alone suggests a thematic return to vulnerability. According to a producer familiar with the project who requested anonymity due to label agreements, this album leans into storytelling. It's still Bruno, big hooks, tight grooves, but there's a rawness we haven't heard in a while. Music critic Alan Cross recently commented on the strategy behind the early listening events, noting, "In an era where everything drops at midnight on streaming, Bruno Mars flipped the script. He made fans show up physically. That creates memory, that creates loyalty." Indeed, the February 25 listening celebrations felt more like community gatherings than marketing campaigns. In cities from Los Angeles to New York, fans lined up outside record shops hours before opening. Inside, store owners decorated their spaces with red vinyl displays and limited edition artwork tied to The Romantic. Some locations reportedly offered exclusive merchandise bundles and pre-order incentives for physical copies. For independent record stores, the partnership represented more than a promotional boost. It was validation. Over the past decade, vinyl sales in the United States have steadily climbed, even surpassing CD sales in recent years. By centering his rollout around physical spaces, Bruno Mars aligned himself with a growing movement that values tangible music experiences. "It felt like the old days," said Marcus Hill, owner of a Chicago record store that participated in the event. "People weren't just scrolling, they were listening together, reacting together. That's powerful." This strategy also reflects a broader shift in how artists connect with audiences. In a saturated digital market, exclusivity can cut through noise. By limiting access to The Romantic to select in-person events, Bruno Mars generated scarcity. Scarcity fuels curiosity. Curiosity drives conversation. Social media amplified the moment. Clips of fans reacting emotionally to certain tracks began circulating within hours. Some described the sound as lush and cinematic. Others called it his most mature work yet. Although no official track list has been released, the online buzz suggests a blend of orchestral arrangements and stripped-back ballads. Behind the scenes, those who have worked with Bruno Mars describe him as meticulous to the point of obsession. "He doesn't release anything unless it feels timeless," said a veteran studio engineer who collaborated with him in past sessions. "He'll re-record vocals 20 times if that's what it takes." That perfectionism has contributed to long gaps between solo projects, but it has also preserved his brand. Unlike many pop stars who flood the market, Bruno Mars has maintained a carefully curated presence. Each era feels distinct, each album feels intentional. Culturally, his influence runs deep. Younger artists cite him as proof that traditional musicianship still matters in the streaming age. His live performances, most notably his Super Bowl halftime shows, remain benchmarks for stagecraft and crowd engagement. His blend of charisma, choreography, and musicianship has become a template for modern male pop performers. There's also a broader narrative at play. Bruno Mars has often navigated conversations about genre, identity, and cultural homage. His work draws heavily from Black American musical traditions, funk, R&B, soul. Critics have debated the nuances of influence and appropriation, yet many industry voices argue that his reverence and collaboration with artists rooted in those genres reflect a deep respect for the music's origins. With the romantic, observers are watching to see how he evolves. Will he double down on retro stylings or pivot into something unexpected? The early listening events suggest confidence. Artists rarely allow audiences to hear an album in full before release unless they believe in its cohesion. In a singles-driven economy, the album as a complete narrative arc has become rare. By inviting fans to sit, listen, and absorb the project from start to finish, Bruno Mars is making a statement about artistry. Entertainment analyst Maria Lopez notes, "This isn't just about hype, it's about positioning. He's reminding people that he's an album artist, not just a singles artist." For YouTube audiences in particular, the story has all the ingredients of a viral moment. Surprise, exclusivity, nostalgia, community. The combination fuels engagement and sustained conversation. Reaction videos, breakdown analyses, and fan theories have already begun appearing across platforms. Yet amid the headlines, Bruno Mars SURPRISES America and Bruno Mars STUNS fans, the deeper story is about longevity. Few artists maintain relevance across multiple musical eras. Bruno Mars has managed to evolve without alienating his core audience. He honors the past while shaping the present. As the official release date for The Romantic approaches, expectations are high. Industry projections suggest strong first-week sales, particularly in vinyl formats. If early reactions are any indication, the album could mark one of the year's defining pop moments. Still, success for Bruno Mars has never been measured solely in chart positions. It is measured in cultural memory, in wedding playlists, in halftime show replays, in the way crowds sing every word. On February 25, in record stores across America, something intangible happened. Fans didn't just hear new songs, they experienced anticipation together. In a fragmented digital world, that kind of shared moment is rare. Whether The Romantic ultimately becomes his most acclaimed project remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, Bruno Mars understands the power of surprise. He understands the value of intimacy, and he understands how to turn an album release into a cultural event. As he steps into this next chapter, the question is no longer whether he can dominate charts again. It is how he will redefine the modern album era. If history is any guide, Bruno Mars is not simply releasing music. He is shaping moments that linger long after the final note fades. Bruno Mars is once again redefining how a global superstar connects with fans. In a surprise move that caught the industry off guard, Bruno Mars launched exclusive early listening events across independent record stores in celebration of his upcoming fourth solo studio album, The Romantic. Instead of relying solely on streaming platforms and digital rollouts, Bruno Mars brought the experience back to vinyl, community, and in-person anticipation. For American audiences, this moment is bigger than a typical album preview. Bruno Mars has built his career on precision, nostalgia, and undeniable showmanship, from Grammy-winning albums like 24K Magic to his chart-dominating collaborations. By choosing local record stores as the stage for this early celebration, Bruno Mars is tapping into a growing vinyl revival while reinforcing his reputation as an artist who values musicianship and cultural roots. Industry insiders describe The Romantic as one of his most personal projects yet, signaling a possible evolution in sound and storytelling. In a streaming era dominated by instant drops, this strategy feels intentional and powerful. It highlights why Bruno Mars remains one of the most influential figures in modern pop music.